Imagine you are born in a cave. It's an underground cave. You and your family were always born there. It's everything you know in the world is this cave. It has the walls, it has shadows, it has artificial light, and you're living there all your life. It's all really, it's these tunnels, these little alleys between the cave rooms, and you're there with all your family. Now, one day you start wandering around, you will ask, like, is there something else other than this cave? You would be wandering around and you go, and you sneak out a little bit, you try to find a way, but it's all closed. But one day, as you are like searching around, you find like a little small sneaky alley, you go inside, you start touching your way through, and then you realize there's a little rock like shaking a little bit, and you get there and you push the rock out and you and you find yourself above the ground. And boom, for the first time ever, you see the sky and it blows up your mind. The whole infinite sky just in front of your eyes, the sun, the trees, the light, everything is around you. And it blows your mind. You don't know what to say. You just melt into this vastness of what you're experiencing. You've never seen it before. And it's so overwhelming, it's so huge. And time has come. You need to go back now to the cave, to your family. But none of them has ever seen anything like this. You don't know what to say to them. You don't know what to tell them. But also more than that, when you are walking back your way to your family in that cave, you look at everything that you used to take for granted. You look at these walls that you used to feel that's the whole world. You look at the shadows. You look at the artificial light, and you realize, like, whoa, that's not the reality. That's not the truth. There is something beyond. And you will never be the same again. Now, the cave is a metaphor to the world that we are born into, that we are all born into, the world of senses, the world that we can see, we can touch, we can feel, the world that our parents, our society will tell us what it is, the customs, the political system of our time. Everything that we take for granted is like the cave in which we are born. And Muhammad too was born in a cave, metaphorically, in this cave of the tribal society of Makkah, in this cave of idol worshipping in a society that glorifies status and glorifies big families and glorifies the tribal honor. This is where he was born. But just like this little boy in that cave who was trying to find a way out, Muhammad too was wandering to try to realize, is there something else? How else he would be going from time to time to a cave far above Mecca to sit down for days and to contemplate. That's how he was looking for a way out, even though he was very comfortable in his life. By that time, he was in his mid-30s. He had a beautiful family, a loving wife, 4 daughters married to their cousins. He had 2 adopted sons, Zayd and Ali. His auntie is coming to visit, Safiya. His other auntie from Khadija's side is coming. You've got the Halima as-Saadiyah, the foster mother, coming from time to time. It's a buzzing with life, buzzing with everything that a man at that society would want. And even something more will happen now that he is 35, that will cement his reputation as a trustworthy man. In that year, when Muhammad was 35 years old, a big flood happened in Mecca. And the water came down, and Mecca, because the Kaaba was the lowest point in the valley of Mecca, the whole water came down and it shook the foundation on the Kaaba, and it shook the Kaaba itself, and the whole building was damaged. And of course, all the Qurayshi panic. They cannot lose this building of the Kaaba. It's the house of God. They need to build it back, especially that the pilgrims will want to come. So they agree all together to collect money and to build the Kaaba. But they were scared, because in order to build the Kaaba back, you need to demolish the old structure. And they were all scared to touch the Kaaba and to demolish it back. So they were all sitting around it and hesitating. Who will be the first one who will go to make a dent or remove the walls or the bricks of the Kaaba. But then one of their men came, one of the leaders came and said, why are we scared? Our intention is not to destroy the Kaaba. Our intention is to build it back. So our intention is good. We won't be punished. Come, let's do the work. And everybody was like, uh-oh, all right, you go first. So this guy took a tool and he went first and he took the first few bricks and everybody was watching. Will he be stricken by thunder? Will he turn like in ashes? Will he burn alive? What's going to happen to him? And lo and behold, nothing happened to the man. And then they said, you know what? Let's wait for tomorrow. Maybe he will die tonight. So they waited until the next day. The next day he came back. He was still alive. He came with his sons this time, with his kids. And they took the tools and everybody realized like, all right, this is a blessed work. Let's build the Kaaba. So they demolished all the walls, but they left the same foundation and they built it back again. But then when they finished the building back, they wanted to put the black stone inside the wall of the Kaaba. And they started fighting. Oh, it's my tribe who should put the black stone in the Kaaba. Oh, no, no, no. It's my clan. We have the right to put that. Oh, no, we have the privilege to do that. And they start fighting among themselves about who will put the black stone in the walls of the Kaaba. Each tribe wanted the honor for itself. So much so that it was about to become bloody. One of the clans, they came, they were very violent. They put their hand in animal blood. They came to the Kaaba and they put their blood on the walls and they said, we pledge by this blood, nobody will put the stones except us. And if somebody else will do it, there will be a fight. And when they realized like there's no solution, the elders met and one of the elders proposed to have an arbitration. That was a customary way in that time to resolve conflicts. Arbitration is to seek an arbiter to find the solution. So they all agreed, let's find an arbitration. The first man who will come from this wall of the precinct of the Kaaba, we will designate him as an arbiter to tell us what to do. And they all sat down waiting. Who's going to be that man who's going to be chosen to come first into the precinct of the Kaaba and be the arbiter? And it was none but Muhammad walking in. When everybody saw him, they were so happy because he's known to be a decent man, trustworthy man. So they all felt good. It's like, oh, this is Al-Amin. This is the trustworthy. So they were all happy to delegate this mission, this decision to Muhammad. So they told him the story. And Muhammad quickly asked them, come, bring a big clock, put it on the floor. So they all bring a big clock. Muhammad took the black stone, he put it in the middle of the clock. And then he said, one man from each tribe, take one of the extremities of the clock and you hold it up together. So now they were all happy, they were all participating. So they all took a piece of the clock, they moved the black stone just in front of the place of the wall where it should be. And Muhammad took the black stone and put it in the wall. And problem was solved and blood was not shed. And it was a brilliant solution and everybody was happy. And it shows a little bit an indication of the character of Muhammad as a conciliatory figure. Anybody else could have given easily the privilege to his own family. He could have given it to his own clan. He could have given it against the clan that he has a problem with. Or he have made maybe a solution that will advance his own interests. But he did not. He proposed a solution that will make everyone happy and that will be a unifying solution for the Kaaba. So he was now known even more as a trustworthy. And even more, he is a comfortable. But what was he looking for? Why was he still not satisfied? At 35 years now, why would he need to leave all of that behind and go into that faraway mountain to seek solitude by himself? What is he looking for? Is he wondering about the meaning of life? Is he wondering about who created the universe, who created the world? Is he asking questions about why is society that he was born into so unjust? Is he wondering like, oh, is there a better way to live life? Is he asking those questions? Or maybe he's asking like about himself. What shall I do with my life? Was it like a midlife crisis? Someone in his midlife, after he's got a family and he finds himself, and now what? What shall I do with my life? He passed through orphanhood, he passed through work, he got married. Now he's in that place of his life, he's comfortable. But maybe a part of him was asking, and now what? Where would I go? Or maybe his soul, we know from history that this man had a huge potential. He had a potential to be a spiritual leader. He had a potential to be a political leader. He had a potential to unite people. All this potential was definitely stirring in his soul. But he was doing nothing. He was a nobody. He was just a daddy at home, going there, playing with his kids, smiling with his wife. Yes, he was happy. Sure, he was comfortable. But was it all there is? Is all there is with all his potential is to just be this man who have good food on the table, raises a couple of kids, grows old, and die? Is that it? Was that the questions that he was wondering in his heart? And remember at that time, Muhammad, at still that moment, he had chosen nothing in his life. Yes, he was doing well by that time at 35, but he had chosen nothing. He didn't choose his childhood. He didn't choose his orphanhood. He didn't choose the way he grew up with his grandfather. He didn't choose his clan. He didn't choose his family. He didn't even choose the wife that he married. He didn't even choose Khadija. Khadija actually is the one who chose him. Even that marriage came to him. He wasn't the one who created it in his own life. And now, for the first time, he will do something that he was not asked to do. He was playing all these roles, the roles of the husband, the roles of the father, the roles of the good guy, and he was all of that. But was there something unique to him that needs to be expressed? And then, was he looking for that? Something that he will do out of his own choice. We cannot know for sure what was in his mind as he would go to this cave and meditate. We cannot know for sure why would he do that. But one thing is sure, that this quest, this thing, this inkling in his heart was so strong that he will leave everything. Imagine, he will leave a home buzzing with kids playing. He would leave a loving wife. He would leave a comfortable house. He would leave a lot of food on the table, servants helping him. He would leave a society where he's respected. He will leave that all, take a little bit of food, a little bit of water, and walk into the heat of Mecca. Walk out until all the houses become behind, and keep walking on that arid and rocky desert, and walk up to a hill, climb on that hill for more than an hour, alone, rocky, arid, nothing on that hill. Keep climbing with little food, with little water, until he arrived at a place, a small cave, Ghar Hira, the Hira Cave, where he would sit down. He would sit down not for an hour, not for 2 hours, not for an afternoon. He would sit down for days and nights alone in solitude in a cave, contemplating around him and thinking, what was he doing there? What made him go there? He wasn't a prophet at that time. He was just a man looking for something different, seeking for an answer to whatever it was in his mind. And as the Bible says, Jesus says, seek and you shall find. And as the Quran also says, وَإِن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. To man is what he strives for. وَإِنَّ سَعْيَهُ سَوْفَ يُرَى. And his striving, he will be rewarded. Muhammad was striving for something he probably didn't even know what it was, but he was striving for something. And he would go into that cave with his little food, with his little water, sitting there, all rock around him, all arid, looking at the horizons, looking at the Kaaba below, looking at those hills, looking at this infinite sand, at this infinite sky. And one day, while he was in this place, while he was in this contemplation, his eyes opened up and he saw something beyond the visible. It's like he melted in the universe. It's like he became one with the cosmos. He was overwhelmed by something so big, so huge, divine presence itself, overwhelming all his senses. How can we imagine what he has experienced? We cannot without experiencing it ourselves. But maybe we can remember that boy, that person in that cave in the beginning, this underground cave. Imagine the feeling when you only know walls and shadows and artificial light. What would you feel if suddenly you are thrown into the middle of the sky? What would you feel when you see the sun for the first time? How overwhelming will that is? How incredibly infinite will that feel when you see it for the first time? Well, maybe that's could give us a clue of what Muhammad experienced on that night that will change everything, that night that he will even call in later revelations, Laylatul Qadr, the night of destiny. And he will reveal, he will recite about it. He will say, وَإِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. Oh, we sent it down in the night of destiny. Laylatul Qadr. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. And what do you know? He's talking to people. What do you know what the night of destiny is? Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. It is better than 1,000 months. Why? Because a destiny is shaped in that night. Muhammad's life will change forever. For years to come, his whole life trajectory will shift. Not only his own life trajectory, the life trajectory of his nation, even the world today. So yes, it is better than 1,000 months because it shaped decades and centuries. تنزل الملائكة فيها والروح بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. The spirit and the angels descend on that night. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. Peace it is until the break of dawn. Imagine how the Quran, his own revelations, described that night of peace and bliss until the rise of the dawn. But then Muhammad woke up from this dream, woke up from this sublime reality to find himself in that cave alone. What happened to him? What did I experience? What was that? Was it a dream? Am I possessed? He would ask himself. Is it an evil spirit? Have I lost my mind? Have I gone crazy? What is it that is going on? How can I go back now to the normal life? What can I tell to the people? Can I tell anybody what I just experienced? Can I tell those people in the cave that there is a sky unlimited out there? How would they ever understand? How would they believe me? But can I even hide from them? Can I just pretend that nothing has happened? Can I do that? How can I even pretend? How can I go and say nothing? And as he was wrestling with those questions of what was going on with him, what was he experiencing, what would he be doing, as he was wrestling with this and asking, what shall I do? What's going to happen? He heard a voice coming from within, strong voice saying, Muhammad, iqra, iqra, recite, speak. And Muhammad was like, no, I am not a reciter, I'm not a speaker. And the voice grew louder and stronger, iqra. And Muhammad was more terrified and he was pushing away. No, no, I am not a speaker. I am not a reciter. And the voice now became even stronger, even as if seizing him physically in his chest. اقرأ اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. Read, speak in the name of your Lord. And Muhammad knew his life would never be the same again. And what he experienced on that hill, he can't just keep it for himself. He knew it's impossible. It's impossible to pretend that nothing happens. And he knew he cannot keep that truth only for himself. He has to share, he has to speak, he has to reveal what he has been blessed to experience himself. And the voice was clear. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. But he was terrified, completely shaken. He was running back home, not knowing what was going on, still doubting, am I crazy? Have I lost my mind? What's this evil spirit in my mind? What will people do to me if I speak? What will happen to me? Oh my God, he even wanted to kill himself. He wanted to throw himself from the hill. So much he was devastated and terrified. And he went back home and he ran and he goes straight into his home, and he goes straight into his room, and he goes straight into his bed, and he screamed, Dathiruni, Dathiruni, cover me up. And Khadija will cover him up, and he will stay under the cover until he can recover his breath and recover his senses. Khadija, his loving wife, was with him. When Muhammad calmed down, she will ask him, Muhammad, what happened? What happened to you? And Muhammad will now tell her what happened. And he will tell her, Khadija, I'm scared. What has happened to me? Am I crazy? Am I possessed? What would people say of me? Am I being punished? Have I done anything wrong? And Khadija, the loving wife, will tell him, Oh Muhammad, you've always been good with everyone. You've always been kind with the poor. You've always been helpful to the weak. You've always kept the connection of the kinship with your family, with the people, with everyone. You've always been a good man. Don't be scared. God will not punish you. Don't be scared. And she tried to calm him down. And then she said, Muhammad, let's go to my cousin, Waraqah, the Hanif. Maybe he knows what's going on. Waraqah ibn Nawfal, the cousin of Khadija, was a famous Hanif, a believer of the one God, and he was more of a Christian at that time. He knew the Bible, he knew the scripture, he was able to read the Bible, he knew the language of the Bible of the time. So Khadija will took Muhammad to Waraqah, and Muhammad will tell Waraqah what happened to him, and Waraqah would listen, and Waraqah knew the scriptures and knew the stories, and he said, Oh Muhammad, لقد جاءك الناموس الأكبر. You just received the biggest revelation, the one that has descended on Moses himself. You are the prophet of your nation. And imagine now Muhammad overwhelmed. What? This is the revelation of prophethood? I am the prophet of my nation? And Waraqah will then tell him, because he was an old man at the time, Waraqah will tell him, oh, I wish I was a young man when this is happening, so I can protect you and defend you when your people will fight you back, when your people will kick you out. And Muhammad said, my people will fight me? My people will kick me out? And Waraqah said, because Waraqah knew all the Bible stories, he said, oh Muhammad, no prophet has come with what you're coming with, except that he was mistreated by his own people. Now imagine Muhammad with all this revelation that he's just experienced, all these fears, all these doubts. At the same time, he knows he has a mission now to play. He has something to speak. He's the prophet of his nation. Imagine all these feelings brewing into him. At the same time, now he cannot hide from the truth. Now he knows crystal clear that there is one God, there is one force that unites, that pervades the whole world. He knows crystal clear that worshipping the idol is wrong. He knows crystal clear that all these values of injustice, of tribalism are destructive. He knows crystal clear that everything around him is in ignorance. He knows crystal clear that the values of societies of pursuing worldly material pursuits is wrong. He knows all of that and it's growing into him. But how can he speak it up? How can he say it to the world? Imagine the emotion that he will want to, that will come out of him if he speaks up this truth to everyone. In order to imagine what is going on in his heart, let's imagine back this person in the underground cave, coming back after seeing the sky, coming back to his family in the cave. What would he or she tell them? Would he tell them, oh, by the way, I was just walking around and I saw the sky. It's really big. It's really amazing. It's really vast and infinite. Oh, and by the way, all these shadows and walls are just nothing. It's like, it's not real. It's not the truth. Good night. Will that what he will say? Or no, of course not, because it's so big. If you imagine yourself saying that, it will be like, oh my God, I just saw something so incredible. The sky, it's infinite, it's everywhere. Oh my God, I have something to share with you. These walls, these artificial lights is nothing, is not the truth. Isn't that the emotion that will come out of someone that has just seen something so incredible? Maybe to understand even more, imagine it's yourself now. Imagine in your family, there is like a disease and you're looking for a cure to it. All your family members that you love, they have this disease. But one day, as you're doing your search, as you're doing your research, you find a cure for that disease. You find a cure that can actually solve the problem of all your family. You come home storming. What would you tell them? Would you say, oh, Dad, by the way, this disease that you have, I just found a cure. Why don't you try? It's really good. Of course not. You will come, you will be overwhelmed. You'll say, oh my God, my family, I have something incredible to share with you. I find a cure to this disease that we all have. But if they tell you, oh no, that's nonsense, that's nothing, that will do nothing, you're just an illusion, you're just a dreamer, you just lost your mind. What would you then say? And you know for sure that the cure is in your hand. Would you not say, oh, I swear to God, I swear by my eyes, I swear by everything I know true, it is real, this cure exists, I've seen it with my eyes, it makes the effect, I've seen it myself, look what happened, I have evidence. Won't you be in that space where you do everything you can to give them that cure that you know that you have because you love them, this is your family, and you know their disease? Well, Muhammad was not much different. He had just seen the truth that everyone around him didn't see. He has just now have a cure, a spiritual cure to the ailment of the ignorance of his society. His society who was pursuing idols, his society who was pursuing worldly pursuit and ignoring the values of spiritual alignment, of support, of solidarity, of truth. And he knew the cure of spiritual alignment, and now he wants to come and to tell them that. So now listen, how would it come from him? How would a man who has experienced that, how would it come from him? He wants to tell his people that one day you will also awaken and see the truth. He knew that what he know, one day everyone will awaken and see. He want to tell them that. How would it come out of him? Listen to the world, to the words that he uttered. Listen to the words that came through him. Feel what he was experiencing through his words. That's what he would tell them. إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ, if the sun is folded and extinguished, وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ إِنْكَدَرَتْ, and the stars are dimmed, وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ سُيِّرَتْ, and if the mountains vanish, وإذا العشار عطلت, and if the precious camels are abandoned, وإذا البحار سجرت, and the oceans are boiling and flooding, وإذا النفوس زوجت, and the souls are classified according to their deeds, وإذا الموءودة سئلت, and the girl who was buried alive was asked, بأي ذنب قتلت, from what guilt you were killed, وإذا السماء قشطت, and if the sky, the ceiling of the sky is open, وإذا الجحيم سعرت, and the hell is blazing with fire, وإذا الجنة أزلفت, and if heaven is near, علمت نفس ما أحضرت, the soul will awaken to know what is true. Can you feel the emotion that is growing through him? Can you see the intensity with which he is revealing those words? He wants to tell them that what he's experienced is really big, is really huge. And it will come through him in another verse, in another surah. كلا والقمر, oh no, and by the moon. والليل إذا أدبر, by the night when it starts to fade. والصبح إذا أسفر, and the morning when it rises. إنها لإحدى الكبر, what I'm telling you is a big thing. نذيرا للبشر, a warning to humankind. لمن شاء منكم أن يتقدم أو يتأخر, to those of you who wish to learn what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. See how it's coming through him. What is right? What is bad? He wants to explain to them what's his preaching, what is the thing. And imagine how it will come through him also in another verse, all in these years following the revelation, and he will come through him. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى, oh, the night when it darkens, when it gets dark. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى, and the days when it brightens. وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى, and by the one who created the male and the female. إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى, what you pursue is different. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى, the one who gives, the one who is pious. وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى, the one who believes. فَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى, we will make his life at ease. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخَلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى, as for the one who is stingy, who feels he doesn't need anyone, he doesn't need God, he doesn't need us. وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, and he's not a believer. فَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى, his life will be difficult. وَمَا يُغْنَى عَنْهُ مَالَهُ إِذَا تَرَدَّى, and his money, his status, his wealth will not save him. Can you feel? It's more than just the message, it's all this emotion that is coming through him. But of course they will denigrate him, they will ridicule him. Who are you to say that? You're a dreamer, you're crazy, you lost your mind. Who do you think you are? You're a nobody. What are you trying to say? Are you trying to teach us now how to live? And he's overwhelmed, and he sees the truth, and he's experienced the sublime reality, and he see the sky, and he want to teach to them. He want to make himself believe, and listen now to what he would say as he's overwhelmed trying to reach their message, his message to them. And the words would come through him. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالْخَنَّسِ, I swear by the galaxies, الْجَوَارِ الْكُنَّسِ, orbiting in the universe. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا عَسْعَسَ, and the night when it starts to appear. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَنَفَّسَ, and the days when it breathes in. إِنَّهُ لِقَوْلِ رَسُولٍ كَرِيمٍ, it is a saying, it is the word, it is the message of a noble messenger. ذِي قُوَّةٍ عِنْدَ ذِي الْعَرْشِ مَكِينٍ, with a high spiritual status. مُطَاعٍ ثُمَّ أَمِينٍ, obeyed and trustworthy. وَمَا صَاحِبُكُمْ بِمَجْنُونٍ, he is not crazy. وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ بِالْأُفُقِ الْمُبِينِ, he saw it in the high horizon. وَمَا هُوَ عَلَى الْغَيْبِ بِضَنِينٍ, and he is not hiding what he has seen. وَمَا هُوَ قَوْلُ شَيْطَانٍ رَجِيمٍ, and it is not an evil spirit. فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ, Oh, where would you go? إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. It is but a remembrance to humankind. His soul was burning with the fire of revelation. His emotion, his words, the words coming through him, you can see the vivid images, the fiery images, the pictures, the emotions coming in. Because he was a man who has just, as we said, he was just saw the sky and trying to spread the message to blind people who spend all their life in a cave. His soul would be burning. And you know, he was not the first one who experienced this divine reality. And he was not the last one. Many people in this world have experienced that thing that we call the infinite, the divine presence. And you know, interestingly, they all described it in the same way. Go back to this underground cave and imagine you've seen the sky. And imagine you want to describe the sky to someone who's never seen it before. What would you tell them? Would you not tell them, oh, it's the sky it's everywhere. It's infinite. It has no beginning. It has no end. It's everywhere you look. Would you not say that? But think about it. Would they understand? If they've never seen a sky before, would they understand? They wouldn't understand. Same thing. All prophets, Muhammad and the prophets of the Bible and the prophets of Hinduism and Krishna and Buddha and all prophets, all people who've glimpsed into the eternity, who've seen the divine presence, they explain it in the same way. Didn't they all say that God is infinite? God has no beginning, has no end. He was never born. He will never die. He is everywhere. He is the all-powerful. He is the omniscient. Didn't they all explain it the same way, no matter what traditions they came from? لم يلد ولم يولد, never born. Eternal, the most compassionate, Ar-Rahman, the most powerful, Al-Jabbar, Al-Qadir, the omniscient, the knowledgeable of everything, Al-Alim, Al-Khabir. Didn't they all say it the same? They describe it in the same way? So is it a coincidence? What are the chances that these holy men and women from all these traditions describe the same reality in the same way? What's the chances that it's a coincidence? It's no coincidence because they've all experienced the same thing. They've all glimpsed into that sky and they explain it to the people. But just as someone in a cave would never understand what a sky is, except if you experience it yourself, we learn about God, we are told about God, the infinite, the omniscient, the omnipotent, but it's difficult to grasp, to understand, to feel, to experience, unless for those who made it out of the cave and were able to experience this themselves. But we can believe their words for it because we know that if they hadn't seen that, they wouldn't speak in that same language to us all. Now Muhammad is trying to explain to people about what he's experiencing. And some people have joined him. It's the 4th or the 5th year after the revelation. It's already 4 or 5 years. Only few free men has joined him. The rest were like the slaves and the weak. They joined him and his family members. He only have few followers. All the rest of Mecca, all the rest of Arabia, they still look at him suspiciously. They still don't like his message. They still ridicule him. They still don't believe him. And even worse, now they start to persecute him. His own daughter now, Ruqayya, has left Mecca to Abyssinia with her husband because they were already persecuted. They're starting to make their life difficult. The first Muslims started to go away. And Muhammad is still trying to tell them what he has experienced. In this 4th or 5th years after the revelation, Muhammad goes to the Kaaba and he's now standing on the Kaaba. And again, he starts to recite. Listen to those words. Listen to the voice of his soul as he explains what he is going through. Listen of how it's coming up. He will stand in front of the Kaaba and he will recite, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هَوَى, oh by the shooting star, مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى, your friend Muhammad is not lost, he is not astray, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى, and he is not speaking falsehood. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى, it is but a revelation, inspiration that is inspired to him. عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَى, he was taught by the most powerful. ذُو مِرَّةٍ فَاسْتَوَى, the all-wise as he appears, وَهُوَ بِالْأُفُقِ الْأَعْلَى, on the high horizon. ثُمَّ دَنَا فَتَدَلَّى, and then he came close, so close to him. فَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى, he was so near to him, he could even about to touch him. فَأَوْحَى إِلَىٰ عَبْدِهِ مَا أَوْحَى, and he inspired his servant what he inspired. مَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادُ مَا رَأَى, oh, his heart is not lying. أَفَتُمَارُونَهُ عَلَى مَا يَرَى, are you still arguing with him about what he saw? وَلَقَدْ رَآهُ نَزْلَةً أُخْرَى, and he saw it another time. عِنْدَ سِدْرَةِ الْمُنْتَهَى, at this place at the end of creation. Al-Muntaha, عِنْدَهَا جَنَّةُ الْمَأْوَى, this place, the heavenly refuge of the souls. إِذْ يَغْشَى السِّدْرَةَ مَا يَغْشَى, this place is concealed, is hidden, is veiled. مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى, oh no, his eyes were not blurred, his vision was not astray. لَقَدْ رَأَى مِنْ آيَاتِ رَبِّهِ الْكُبْرَى, he saw the greatest signs of his Lord. That was the recitation of Muhammad coming through him to his people, a prophet that is speaking his heart out, his revelation out. He has seen from the greatest signs of his Lord. There is no doubt about that. Otherwise, how would he be so transformed? How would he find those words to flow through him? How would he find the courage, the determination, the faith to leave everything he took for granted, to leave all this comfort, and to start his mission as a prophet? His soul is now burning with this fire of revelation. What will he do? How can he experience those moments? How can he share? How can he go through this period is what we will see in the coming sessions. Thank you, everybody.